aviation started as a glider pilot with the Belgian Air Cadets. During her master's degree in space studies, her focus shifted from aviation to space. Kato has been an analog astronaut for several missions where she performed in the roles of vice commander and commander. In early 2023, she began her role as director of operations for High Seas. The lunar-like lava field and analog space research are a very exciting and interesting work environment for her. Her hobbies include hiking, traveling, and all kinds of adventures. We're really happy that you came here to be with us today.
Thank you for that introduction. So I did have an introduction slide, but that's not necessary anymore, so thank you for the introduction. So just my presentation, I have about 4 parts. So generally, in case there are people who don't know High Seas, so just heads up. Then about the habitat, so even people who did a High Seas mission before, it's possible that it changed a little bit. So I will show some pictures how it looks like now. And the mission, so I will only talk about the recent missions, so the one of 2023 and the ones of 2024, and then some experiments. So in general, High Seas, what is High Seas? The Hawaii Space Exploration, Analog, and Simulation. So it started in 2013, so it started as a collaboration between NASA and the University of Hawaii. So their focus was on Mars missions, so they all had long-term missions, so 4 months, 8 months. They even had one mission of 12 months. And then in 2019, that collaboration stopped, and they started collaborating with International Moon-Based Alliance, and their focus shifted more towards shorter missions. So their main focus was moon missions, although they still did some Mars missions, but they were all shorter than the ones with NASA. And then in 2022, there was an eruption of the Mauna Loa, so of course there were no missions back then. And in 2023, we restarted the High Seas missions. So the focus of High Seas is scientific experiments, as well as testing of new technology, and it also gives researchers the experience of being an analog astronaut. So where is it situated? In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, in Hawaii, so the most southern island, also called the Big Island. So this is a big island, so there are 5 volcanoes on that island. 4 of them are still considered being active, and our habitat is situated at the largest volcano. So Mauna Loa in Hawaii means long mountain, and it's about in the middle of the island. So this picture is not super clear. This is just the top view from the area. So it's a square side near the observatory road, and these are the coordinates. So what are the assets of this location? So it's 8,200 feet, so 2,500 meters above sea level, and it's visually good. But it's still accessible, so there's the observatory road, and then the last part is the dirt road. So if you have 4-wheel drive, you can drive towards the app. And then it's time independent, so weather-wise, it's never too cold or too hot to organize the mission there. The only thing we have is sometimes rain, but apart from that, we can year-long organize missions, and also we can organize missions with different lengths. So we had the long missions in the beginning, and then we also had multiple short missions. And of course, the main asset, we have the volcanic lava field. So we have 2 types of lava. We have the Ba'a lava, which is more like the spike lava, and then we have the Bahoya lava, which is solidified very slowly, so that's more like log lava, much easier to welcome. And of course, there are lava tubes and skylights, which makes it very realistic. Then the habitat, so about the structure and the layout. So this is how it looks like. So it's a 1,200 square feet dome, so about like 110 square meter. So the structure outside is a steel structure, kind of like covered with textile. And inside it's a wooden structure. It's full of grit, obviously, stable impact on the environment. So we have 36 solar panels for power, and in case it would be cloudy for several days, we still have a backup generator on propane, and same for the heating, it's running on propane. So these are the floor plans. On the left side, you see the ground floor. So we have a common area, a dining area, kitchen, lab, and bathroom. So in the left corner, it's not on this plan, but there is the airlock and the engineering bay. And then on the right side, we have the second floor, so the 6 different crew quarters and a second bathroom. So this is how it looks like. So this is a common area. Every single crew member has a specific desk, so they are all labeled. More about it later. There is a big open space for all the specific sport activities, crew activities, etc. And the desk can be used for filling in reports, doing specific experiments, questionnaires, etc. Then the dining area, of course, used to consume food, but also for briefings, debriefings, crew activities, specific types of experiments. This is the kitchen, so we just have normal kitchen equipment, hot plates, microwave, oven, blender, rice cooker, those kind of things. So very general. The lab, we have an aquaponic system, microscope, centrifuge, sterilizer, incubator, and have the aquaponic system. The bathroom, so you can have a shower, but showers are very, very limited at ICs. There is the urinal, and we use compost toilets, so there's one in the bathroom downstairs, and there's one in the bathroom upstairs, as well as a sink. This is how the rooms look like, so they are labeled again. A very, very tiny room, so it's just a single room, and the people who did a high-seas missions know that it doesn't even feel like a single bed because of the inclined wall. If you turn around, you almost always hit your arm. So, and there's a small desk and a small cupboard as well. This is the engineering bay. So on the left side and the right side, you see the EVA equipment. So on the left side, you see the backpacks for the simulated oxygen and the helmets for the communication. And on the right side, you see the EVA suits. And in the middle, that are the 4 battery systems we have. And in the end, at the end, there are some tools, some engineering tools for if something is broken, etc., to fix those things. This is the airlock. So, of course, if you go on EVA, you need to depressurize the airlock. If you come back, you need to pressurize it. And I would like to ask the audience if it's pressurized or not, but the picture is not super visible. What would you guys say? Who says pressurized? Who says depressurized? No answers. Okay, it's pressurized. The light is green, and it says 1,000, but the picture is not super clear. So this is a door towards the habitat. I should have mentioned that. So then about the missions. So I will focus on the missions in 2023 and 2024. So what type of missions did we have? We had 2 types of missions. So part of the missions were 6 days, the other missions were 12 days. So there was 1 day of pre-mission training, and so every crew member had a defined role. There were, of course, mission patches and mission names. There were several EVAs. There was a special diet at high seas, so it's all freeze-dried and vegetarian food. And it is really amazing how people can still make delicious dishes. So one crew made even ice cream. I still don't know how, but it's very amazing by seeing those pictures. And so they have a very tight schedule. So the schedule is made by mission control for every specific crew member. They have a full schedule, and that's passed to them, and then they have to follow that very strictly. Of course, it's a confined space. There's also limits to communication with the outside world. So they cannot just access whatever website. They can only access the websites that they need for their specific experiments. They're also not allowed to use social media or anything like that. There's very limited access to water, and there's mission control. So the pre-mission training, there was just a film presentation about it. So the first part is the part given by Interstellar Performance Labs by Emily. Then there is the second part about emotional intelligence and emotional regulations given by the high-seas psychologist Celia. And then, of course, there is a part about the high-seas habitat systems, the experiments, and the procedures. So the crew roles, we have several crew roles. So first of all, the commander, who is leading the mission, who makes sure that the procedures are followed, etc. The vice commander that is assisting the commander in those tasks. And a space engineer that is monitoring all the systems, so that person is checking the water level, the battery level, etc. And the chief scientist, that person is responsible for all the scientific experiments. a medical officer that's doing like daily checks of the analog astronauts, if they're all doing fine. A communication officer, that's the main point of communication for mission control. A nutrition specialist that is making sure that they have balanced meals. And then a public outreach officer that's taking pictures, journaling, etc. So for the people that did pay attention, we can only host a cruise of 6 people, and we do have 8 roles. So depending on their, so as in most habitats, we also try to have crews that are very diverse, gender-wise, age-wise, nationality-wise, etc. So depending on their background and their experience and expertise, some of the roles are combinable. So for example, sometimes a medical officer is a medical officer and a nutrition specialist at the same time. And they all get a crew name, so it's Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, and that's so that means where they work and where they sleep, so that's standardized, and it also makes it easier for reports that it's all anonymous. So then mission control, so we have 2 parts of mission control. So the first part is Capcom, so that's the main communication for the crews. So they are in contact with Capcom quite regularly. They have daily briefings and debriefings with Capcom. And of course, Capcom checks for weather and safety, also their EVA requests. Capcom will check if they can approve it or not. But Capcom is not always on the island, so we also have a support crew, a mission control support crew. So there's always at least one person on the island that can support crews at all time. And there's also online support, so in case if there are some medical questions, or we had one time that there was a crew member who asked for to talk to a psychologist. So we have volunteers doing that, and also some engineers that are helping. So for the mission patches and mission names, so we wanted to honor the Hawaiian tradition, so we decided to give all the missions Hawaiian names. So these are just some examples of mission patches and mission names. So same for this. And then the last part, so for the experiments, so please, if you have, I will just give like a general overview of what kind of experiments we do and highlight some of them. But please, if you have specific questions about the experiments, please contact the person in charge, or I can help you to give them the contact information. Like, I don't know all the specific results and details about every experiment, so I'll just So we can categorize them more or less in 6 groups. So of course there are some are overlapping, but the main groups are geological experiments, biological experiments, experiments about the group health, the group psychology, technology, and EVA equipment. So then some geology experiments, so there were a lot of spectrometers used during the experiments, so infrared observations, X-rays, and then the HADAR, so that stands for heat assistant detection and ranging. So what they do is, it's like a system where they use thermal cameras, but also other type of observations to combine into pictures that tell more than just pictures by thermal camera. And this is Mason in the suit that he brought to high seas. So he probably will talk more about it tomorrow. So then we also have biological experiments. So of course we have a aquaponic system. Some people were culturing algae and stuff like that. So there was also one person who was mapping all the plants around the habitat and checking what kind of plants they were and what their locations were, etc. And then there was the kefir experiment. So Katie was cultivating kefir. So what she brought was specific powder and specific bags, and the only thing she had to do was adding water. And they also added a free-safe pH coloring thing, so they could check whenever it was ready. And so kefir can be used in the future for extra nutrition for crews. Then we have crew health experiments as well. So there are experiments about mindfulness, for example, like the pre-stage technology, that's an app on your phone, so you just look to the camera and then that app can tell you what's your breathing rate, what's your heart rate, etc. So those kind of things were tested. And there was also a doctor who wanted to test how people could easily learn about like all those medical things, because it's very important in the future if people go to space and they know how to handle a medical situation. So she gave like a medical school there, and different other experiments, and also my personal favorite one, the motion sick one. So Carol was the researcher for this. What she did was she put all the crew members on a chair with their feet from the ground, and she was spinning them around for about 1 minute with their eyes closed. And if you do that, so after that you just have to tilt your head. So I invite everyone to use it. That's really try it at home. It's fun, but a lot of people do get motion sick. And then she was investigating if they were more stressed, if they were feeling warmer, if they were feeling more fatigued, etc. So she did that during the mission and recorded those data points. Then we also have group psychology. So we also had, like mentioned in one of the previous presentations, we had power at high seas. Then there were several other experiments, and also an experiment about trust. So what Lauren was doing, she was checking with all the different crew members how they received the trust, not just the trust in the other crew members, but also the habitat in the different equipment, in power and stuff like that. She recorded that throughout the mission, if they had trust and if it changed during the mission. And then technology, so there were some AI experiments, some software stuff, and also the astronaut had interaction with the HoloLens too. So Christina investigated how that could be an asset for crews, so if it was interesting to use it to learn their skills, also if it was interesting as an entertainment thing, etc. And then EVA equipment, like I mentioned before, Mason, for example, took a full pressurized suit to high seas, but also people used drones for several experiments or other type of spacesuit tools. And there was also an experiment in collaboration with John, who's a researcher at NASA. So there was Luna Watson Prism. So this is the prism that you see on the picture, and that is a device to check like the reglet size and the reglet color. And then the Luna Mount was connection, so a female-male connection that you could attach to your spacesuit. You could attach those two equipments together. And then that was not mentioned before, but of course we also like to do artwork at high seas. So there was plenty of photography and music videos and painting, and we also collaborate on a nice project. So for people who are familiar with Nicole Stott in her spacesuit, so Shelby is working together with her, and she kind of made like an analog astronaut version of it. So most of the crews that collaborate on that are just making like small pieces of artwork, and she's now making like one full suit of all the art from all the different missions. So this is not the finished version yet. I don't have an updated picture yet, but it should be almost full right now. So thank you very much, everyone. If you scan a QR code, that leads you just to the website mentioned there. In case you have more questions or anything, you can always contact me on that email address. So thank you very much. Are there any questions? No? Okay.
Question up here. What other missions are you doing this year?
Well, that was a question that I was afraid of. So we do have issues at high seas for the moment, so a lot of people know it already, with the renewal of the permit. So at this moment, the future of high seas is really unsure. And we don't know yet, so it depends on how everything evolves. But there's nothing planned yet till we have more information.
So if we propose a new kind of project, so you may evaluate this and accept it, then how long will it take to prepare, to start the new project? I mean, after getting some mission or something. For the preparation of the new experimental project.
It depends from project to project. So most of the time, it's just crew members that come there with their personal project. So we do not have a lot of separate projects that run over all the missions. So they prepare it in advance and then they come on the mission. But it really depends for type of projects and stuff like that.
What capabilities would you love to have, and what other kind of missions would you love to be able to run there?
Well, it would be really nice if we could have, but of course that's one issue, if we could have like a much more closed system. For example, we can't recycle our water and stuff like that, which is very unfortunate and would be very, very helpful in an analog mission. And that's one of the things that is really lacking, I guess, in my personal opinion. I would love to see those kind of things, like a greenhouse, filtering water, stuff like that. It's very expensive. So.
It's a quick question. Is there any centralized repository of all the published papers and research reports that we can consult?
Part of it is on the website, but it's not the most recent version. But so the missions before 2019, part of it is there, and the recent one is a bit too recent to have already like the published papers, but they will be added in the future. Any other question?
Do you oversee, are you typically the commander of these crewed missions? And what's your role in terms of, being part of the simulation?
So I know you probably did a mission with Michaela. Yeah, so back then she was commander of most of the missions. When I started in the beginning of 2023, I was also commander of some of the missions. But because there were missions quite a lot, and I decided to mainly be to recruit commanders. So we had commanders that did high seas missions, that did a high seas mission with me, that were selected as commander. So they knew the procedures, etc. And I was mission control for those missions.